off here. Some of you guys obviously know who I am. My name's Adam Bailey. I'm out of Wichita, Kansas. I have this is my 14th year in real estate, and got started out as an ISA, setting appointments. ISA is like an inside sales position within real estate. I basically came on and was helping an independent firm. Let's call them listings, expireds and FSBOs and stuff like that. I really got into the market when it was a down market, really going into that balanced market of where we're at. I can remember when we had 300 signs in the yard and only 9 homes pending. Went on to become an agent, sold 24 houses my first year, become a team leader, ended up getting ownership in the office. We scaled it to 4 or 5 expansion offices up and down the Midwest. Got in the top 10 in the Wall Street Journal according to units and stuff like that I will show you. And started a coaching company and all that fun stuff until I really added some additional technology into my business, and currently have 24, probably 2,500 agents, close to that, in 5 countries that we're closing homes in with we'll just say some strategic partners, agents, and all that stuff. And really basically taking our proven system, and hopefully I can give you a snapshot of how we were closing 20 to 30 homes a week, week in, week out without fail. And it's really since 2014. And also show you how to build a new revenue stream today that's never been provided to the common agent ever. Show you how to obtain some leading edge technology that I use in my business without digging into your pocket or having you pull out a Visa or MasterCard. And really, when you start talking about 20 to 30 homes a week, and for how I'm scaling out the modern team right now, we closed right under 10,000 houses in 2022. That's just wild to me. And being able to focus on the marketing piece and set up predictability within a pipe drive that leads to just consistent listing appointments, so we're appointments in general. However, being able to control the listing, obviously you're in control of your future and able to leverage your time. This is one of our other partners. We have a worry-free listing program that we run online and offline in terms of the messaging, and then also with the presentation. There's a QR code in that box that scan gets to video, and then it triggers some other things that happen, the pre-listing packet in there, so on and so forth. But being able to create unique value propositions that's value stacked with tangible value and perceived value is the first thing that I would get set up. And then being able to differentiate yourself with, like, just say an irresistible offer. I was speaking with a few of our teammates, even, I don't know, a little bit ago, and talking about our 150 step VIP seller program. The Home Buyer Advantage program added the 89-point marketing plan into it, and so on and so forth, where you could get these into the seller's hand, it's the buyer's hands, to really differentiate yourself. It's just like the Home Buyer Advantage program. It's value stacked with, we'll just say, about 10 benefits in there. For an example, one of them inside of there is the love it or leave it guarantee. It's like, what is the love it or leave it guarantee? And it basically is, if you hire us to represent you and look after your fiduciary responsibilities, one of them in there is removing the risk or buyer's remorse. If you absolutely don't love your home within the first 6 months, we'll turn around and sell it for free. And having language and stuff like that in there, obviously in the fine print on the addendum and all of that stuff, they're still going to pay the 3% for whoever brings the buyer agent and all that stuff. And being able to offset your costs through transaction management. And the labor piece to that is if you're starting to build out the system and the people and the labor around you to basically run that assembly line traditional team the way that we ramp into. And so it's being able to charge $395 or whatever you charge for your transaction fees. Hopefully it comes with real value. For an example, like the worry-free stuff that I just mentioned, because that alone, for what we charge with a buyer, buyer transaction fee. They love it, even though there's 9 other benefits and obviously the concierge services and then the transaction people behind them and all that stuff. Just like in the worry-free listings program, it's value stacked with about, I don't know, 9 other unique value propositions, and how we craft them and the imagery and the consistency across all the marketing pieces, and even from the consultations, the forms, the addendums, all of that stuff. For example, with the worry-free listing program, the way that we've set up our traditional teams or modern teams, or I have to help single agents kind of restructure this, but we have the flexible commission inside of the worry-free listing program. People like choices. That's why we got Pepsi and Coke. Which do you prefer? They're the same product. It's not a Dr. Pepper, but Pepsi and Coke, and then it's your diehard of that product. And giving them the flexibility and the choice, and then also from setting appointments to create that curiosity to be able to get in front of them, helps you set appointments when you can talk about the flexible commission structure inside the worry-free program. And then they're like, well, can you send me information on that, or what are the tiers or whatever? And your whole job is to set appointments and get in front of them through making these offers like this. And I would love to be able to go over all of this with you in person. It's 90% visual. It's what I can tell you though, but it's, if you end up finding you a buyer, why we have your home listed and marketing it on all the channels, and you actually bring the buyer, we'll help you, still do the contract, get them into escrow, go through the whole closing process, represent you for zero, absolutely nothing. Or some of our partners put 1%. Now we flex up with commission, not down. And that's what, when our partners dig into this and we look at this piece, they start to get, this is about adding value and being able to charge more, or always beat out our competition with the same 2.5%, 3% commission structure. And so value unarticulated will always be value that is not appreciated. What I found out in my career, it's like cost is rarely ever an issue in the presence of real value. You just know, like, that's real value. That car is a Lamborghini, like that price tag that comes with it is okay. I get it. You're not going to ask for Cadillac prices with that. And being able to value stack tangible and perceived things inside of the worry-free listing program, we have a 7%, and we get 7% up against our 6% competition all of the time. Or we get our traditional 6% with our base package, like hands down over and above our competition, because we have just a lot more value stacked in there that they can visually see, versus just uploading the home in MLS, or holding an open house, or giving you closing gifts, or being available 24/7 to show you, and all of that other basic stuff. And with the traditional stuff and how we have specialists inside of my traditional teams, the listing agents aren't really working with the buyers, and we could tell them, hey, if the listing agent, I personally sell your house, I'm only going to charge you 5% instead of the 6 or the 7, even if they're on the platinum. And that's appealing, right? Like I can save some money if you personally sell it. But we know the listing agents aren't taking our inbound calls. They're not taking the live chat inquiries over the internet. And then when our inside sales team is handling the showings request or the call-ins off the signs or whatever, all that stuff is routed to a buyer specialist on our team. And so the chances of that actual listing agent selling it are slim. And it's just, when you see the actual addendum and stuff like that, the sellers love it, or they're going with like more value stacked inside of the flexible commission plan. And the thing is I tell people, when I'm looking for a steak and I'm going to go out for a dinner, I'm not looking for the cheapest steak in town, or let's just say it's my anniversary or whatever. I'm going to an upper end steakhouse, but I'm also not just going to the steakhouse because the steak's expensive or it's thicker or a few more ounces. I'm going there for the experience. And so being able to create a great experience with the processes that you have in place is essential. Just for an example, this is the expired campaigns. Expireds are going to be coming back just simply because there's a lot of, we'll just say the most agents in history. And I just seen NAR put out a stat that we have more licensed agents in history, and it peaked just right the same as 2008 or right before 2007, 2008. And that was the record before the last economic downturn due to the subprime stuff. We have a lot of agents out here. Markets are adjusting. Obviously, we also have a lot of agents getting out of the business. And so there's just going to be a lot of overpriced homes, or not being able to understand the reality of where the industry's at in terms of being a hyper local neighborhood specialist. And the sellers are going to be dictating the price just to get the listing, because if you haven't been in real estate longer than 5 years, you haven't been getting buyer agency signed until you're writing a contract. You really haven't had an upfront conversation with price reductions. I joke around with some of my younger people. I'm talking about, they might not necessarily be younger, less than 5 years in real estate, and you even know what a price reduction is, and just giving them crap. And so this is going to be a big pillar, and being able to run an offline strategy with QR codes and messaging and the marketing, and how it's going to be sequenced out with your value propositions that hopefully speak to their frustration of their home not selling, and all of that stuff, other than making the phone call and hitting them through TorchX or RedX or Vulcan 7 or any of these things. Because when you do follow up with them, and we'll just say, if you're asking, hey, have you received any of our literature outlining our aggressive marketing plan, you're able to start off from some authority. You've been already indoctrinating them with your messaging, what you do different. Why should they hire you over all of these other agents that are licensed? And it's like almost in some areas of populations, it's like 1 out of 4, 1 out of 3 people are licensed. So why you? And you want to be known as that trusted advisor. You want to be known as the expert within that niche. The same with for sale by owners. They're going to, obviously, for sale by owners have always been around and always been a pillar, but it's going to be a bigger pillar of business or opportunities in the future as homes are expiring, and or they're not believing what the agent is saying because their mom just sold their house down the street, or a coworker had just done this or that 7 or 8 months ago. And if you're like still operating with that same mentality of believing the market is where it's at a year ago or 6 months ago, like you're behind. And so the seller is going to try to do it on their own, not necessarily because they've had a bad experience with agents or they're having equity issues. I seen something from Keeping Current Matters the other day where it's like during COVID and in the start of all of that, more Americans picked up more equity in the shortest amount of time than any other time in history. And so the equity isn't an issue. Being able to sell because of interest rates would be, and it's really, you got us with we'll just say pent up demand that want to sell, but it's, I got such a good interest rate. It's like, I just might turn this into a rental or whatever. And so being able to take their asset, the for sale by owner asset, and using that to generate other leads, and leading off with not just calling them to list the house or see if you can pick them up as a client, which, yes, that is the net result down the road. But if I could take your listing and add it into my database, do I have your permission to syndicate this to my other 15,000 buyers in my database, or how many ever are in your database? And they're going to be like, yeah, is this going to cost me money or whatever? And that's the first initial call that we coach our people on. Okay, I got a little bit of information asked about the property, and then you go through and start filling out a seller sheet, because you, or in their mind, are adding them to a database and sending an email. And even though you got the information on the for sale by owner site or Craigslist or wherever you're getting your data from to call these people, they're basically, wait, don't you have that information, bedroom size and everything? I'm like, yeah, I saw it over here and I just wrote your number down. you want to build rapport with them and ask them questions and get them talking so they can start to build some familiarity and trust with you, even though you have all that information, and then being able to syndicate that out. And then there's a follow-up call in terms of the foot traffic or what's been going on with them 1 week later. And then making another suggestion. Hey, I actually got a little bit of time here, and you're not that far from me. And one of the things I specializes in is selling homes in this XYZ neighborhood. Here, would I be willing to do for you? And I got a little bit of feedback off of people that looked at your house, or so many people opened the email or whatever. Host an open house for them. So then you're taking that, asset, and you're able to start running Facebook ads to it, or be able to syndicate information about the open house in a radius with the neighbors and drive traffic. And then obviously they're coming through and signing up for whatever your offer is inside of the open house, and you're generating other potential clients and stuff like this. But it's all building up to the law of reciprocity, where you are helping them, right? And you haven't asked for anything in return. If you do hold this open house, you want to get another micro commitment from them. If I do end up generating a buyer, are you willing to pay the 2.5%, 3% if I can bring you a buyer, right? And they're like, this is their third time talking to you or so. And so, but yeah, okay, sure. And then obviously we know that 2% of homes sell in an open house setting like this. And then we're going to let another week or so go by. We know that after 72 days off of the other stats, that they end up hiring the first agent, or the agent that ended up helping them through the for sale by owner process within 72 hours, if obviously the motivation's there or whatever. And who do you think they're going to list with? The agent that was calling them 4 weeks ago, or last month, or maybe even just following up with them over the phone? No, they're going to give you the listing, because obviously you've been in rapport with them and you haven't asked much. And so that's what I'm saying. All of these different things are coming back. And we run the express offer program, where it's like they could get into a situation where we're seeing an uptick in our cash offer programs. Or, hey, if I could bring you 4 different offers within 48 hours, is that something you'd be interested in? I just need to get a little bit of information from you. And so this funnel right here in the iBuyer program and such is going to come back, not necessarily because their house is in a bad location or the condition is horrible. They haven't believed whatever they've been being told by the agents that they've been running into, because visually nobody sat down with a trend graphics report or really explained in detail to them, like damn near minute by minute, where the market's at. And if the agents are doing that, kudos to them. And so it's just, when you're talking about the professionalism and the accuracy of where we're at, it's only about 20% of people that are licensed in my area actually make a living at it full time. And I'm sure from the 2,500 partners that I have, that's pretty consistent across the board. And being able to, we'll just say, if you're closing 20 to 30 houses a week, or we'll just say 2 to 3 a week, focus on that, being able to tap root through those relationships and run like this is called the RAM program that we have, and we're coaching. I need to get probably the new side added on to this one. I like the newer one better, but being able to, have your raving fans and a raving fans program set up, and just start one. But more importantly, there's structure around the relationships that you've already cultivated and built, and you're loving on them, running contests, you're creating community around them, even doing client appreciation parties, so on and so forth, where you can start to get repeat. And we'll just say that the referral business coming back frequently and easy in a predictable way, the predictability of that. And it's like, on average, people that are running these type of programs that is taking like Michael Mayer's 7 levels of communication approach to it. You start having referral leads coming in. Yeah. And you're not buying, we'll say, Google leads, Yahoo, Bing, Zillow at high price strangers or bad information they have to sift and sort through. It's almost like your mom giving you a referral. And it's the nationally with the program, on average, I think it's $1, whatever, 80, or I could be wrong. It's right around there. It's less than $2. It's if your mom was giving you referrals by somebody she's already sold, and they know your mom and like her, trust her, and they're going to believe in her, like any of your other, past clients. Would you, what business would you like, that type of referral or lead, or generating thousands of different internet leads online? But I'm just giving you a snapshot of some of the things that it takes. And there's so many other marketing pillars that you could set up. I just touched on a few. There's 20 different lead sources that we'd have set up, feeding the top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, going through the cash conversion cycle. But it's like wherever you're at, it's like less is more, especially where we're at right now, and being able to go deep on like one niche. For an example, I have a guy on my team. He's focused with working on senior citizens and becoming the baby boomer like agent and everything baby boomer. And he's on my traditional team here in Wichita, and customizing the imagery, logos, the messaging, everything. And he gets great responses from that. I teed up something yesterday, and he called me. He's like, dude, that was like a $75,000 or $600,000 listing with a 75-year-old in perfect shape, all this other stuff. But he knows you need to make a change, and responded off of some of the optimization of that message. And our average sales price here in Wichita, Canada Wichita, Kansas is about 200,000. Versus, like, I have a lot of partners up in Toronto, their average sales price is 800 to $1 million. And so that having a $600,000 listing and responding back off a message in terms of the cost, it was amazing. But if it was just, we'll just say a shotgun approach, a blanketed, like vague, like statement or promise or offer, he wouldn't have responded the 75-year-old the way he did. And then the routing and all that stuff, he was able to route back to the specialist that needed to speak with him. I didn't get him with, we'll just say Sky is another agent on my team that's 25 years old, that's hammering internet leads and building up off of data management. But it's like all of this stuff has to be managed inside of a CRM is what I'm getting at, with the labeling, the tagging, the sequences, and being able to communicate the right message at the right time. And as you can see here, being able to pull the bread out of the oven at the right time so it's not burnt. And there's a lot of other third-party companies out there with algorithms tied into their platform. And so even if you're generating these leads, you just can't zap them into, we'll say, your KB Core account or Boomtown or Commissions Inc. like we could back in the days. You can, obviously, but they want you to pay, or they want you to update inside of their system, inside the algorithm. And that will dictate if you have leads going on and coming in frequently or not from OpCity, Ideal Agent, Realtor.com, even Zillow Flex, and so on and so forth. And so the necessity to create an inside sales team, it would be next, and separating the responsibilities and the duties from outside sales to inside sales. And when I talk about the last 5 years, we haven't had to do too much inside sales at all, other than the initial marketing and paperwork and all that stuff, because they come in at the top of the funnel, they talking about prospects and suspects, and they go right to the bottom of the funnel. You're in the outside, in the, like, writing as many offers as you can. They're just trying to find an agent that can get the listing agent to look at their offer as a buyer or whatever, and buyer fatigue setting in. And then the agents are getting exhausted and wore out from running so much. And the listings, it was just whoever could list my house for as much as like we could, and have them agree to an appraisal gap and bring cash to the table and all types of stuff. It's been wild, right? But now we have to focus on data management and go through like funnel building and the information gathering stage to the actively looking stage. The top of the funnel is the dream stage. And then not just the funnel inside of, we'll just say, the CRM, but really being able to put these people through the steps in terms of the right information that they need at the right time. And that cash conversion cycle is anywhere between 9 to 15, 16 months. And we know on the seller side with the home evaluation leads and stuff like that, it's over 2 years. And being able to focus more on inside sales and those relationships are important. And I was on the call with Gary and some of the Toronto team, and it was interesting. It's like we're going back and having to focus on the basics again of, we'll just say, a buyer consultation and having a client hire you. It's like I'm saying, they're like, well, I didn't have to, write any buyer broker agreements or any of this stuff until we're writing offers. But now that buyers are thinned out, listings are thinned out, and it's going to be like that. And agents are getting out of the business as things are thinning out. For the trusted advisor to come in and continuously eat that market share back up, we have to carry agencies. And I told my veteran teams already know this, and it's carrying 20, 25 agencies at a time to try to pin 4 to 6 homes a month in a traditional way. And you can see here's one of the auto dialers, over 500 dials to talk to 87 people. That's just crazy, right? But being able to track the KPIs to that, to scale the valid conversations to a buyer consultation, to a listing appointment, and all of that stuff in a predictable manner is what will have you being able to grow your sales. And if it's not being measured or tracked, any of the behavior from inside sales to outside sales, how do you plan on improving it? For an example, when I referenced Gary working with these guys yesterday, he's doing some reverse lookups because the ISA model and how we're setting appointments up there's a breakdown or some improvement in some of the systems that they're focused on. And he was able to pinpoint it and work on it. And then it's like, what would be the lead model, and what is the correct way to manage all of these leads and the data and so on and so forth as these pillars start to swell up. Or from the last slide, it's how many loaves of bread are in the oven and who's responsible for what. Is it the ISA? Is it the agent? All these different things we've had to get in and figure out with the hybrid model and the safety net from the customer service and the jumpstart of new agents when you start to bring on new buyer agents and listing agents because of the marketing piece. You're adding more lead pillars into your business. Most agents get stuck on 1 or 2 lead sources, like a couple I showed you, but they don't go on to adding any additional ones to their pillar. And we have, I don't know, it's a 2-page sheet where we have 50 or 70, maybe even more different lead sources or pillars of showing people how to get these set up. But you don't want to try to set up too many too fast, right? It's like, I want you to focus on one and go deep in it and become that expert go-to agent in that niche, or get it predictable inside or outside. Just like you can see here, every 8.5 valid conversations, this person, off the sample size of 2 months worth of data, was setting an appointment. So they know every 8 people that they talk to, where that name matches that profile, whether it's a good conversation or they got hung up on, we call it a qualified appointment or a qualified conversation, but it's a qualified data, like the name matches the profile. And it's a way to gauge your marketing. And then off of those appointments set up, there's a 70% show rate. And this buyer agent here knows every 3.8 showing sessions, they're getting out and writing contracts. And then from there, obviously, buyer agency sign, I believe you, I'm gonna hire you for 6 months, whatever. Even though you can fire us at any time is built into that. It's like 88%. What I say, 87 yesterday, Gary, on that call. So it's like, there's a high percentage that if you get agency with them or they hire you, that it's going to pin out. And being able to track all that through the pipeline and then all the addendums. Here's just a snapshot of some of them. The worry-free listing stuff, it has a couple other pages behind it. There's a flyer for the Home Buyer Advantage one. It's not the addendum, but just showing you how it all ties into the marketing and then being able to build the specialized departments out and around the client versus the agent doing everything themselves, because we know you can't scale a hero. So that's one of the things that we've been able to specialize is the efficiencies of having experts or specialists on your team, and also being able to build a virtual assistance team. And it's like we really went down this channel right here over the last year with my overall big company. And I've been quite impressed. We have a few of them probably on this call here. So what's up to you guys? And so you don't need your, we'll just say transaction coordinator, maybe your assistant, or like maybe your marketing person sitting right next to you, or trying to find that expert in your own community, being able to have other channels to execute on the vision and the goals, and even be able to control cost. There's options out there, and it's what we show our partners. And so I said a lot right there, and I know that we got started off late here, but I'm basically gave you a snapshot of what it is going to take to ramp up to scale sales at a larger level than maybe your own individual efforts or what you have going on right now, or being able to take what you're doing and looking at your missed opportunities and how can I become an icon agent, or how can I sell more houses but get some of my time back. It's I make a good living, sell a fair amount of business by myself, and I don't necessarily want to sell more houses because it's time is important with your family or whatever. And so this isn't about more time or adding more to your plate. If I'm going to hit my target today, and I'm going to move through some other stuff very fast, I'm going to show you how to grow your net income. To me, that's the only thing that matters. And then how much you were able to leverage your time back with that. And that second piece is what matters, right? And when I talk about me being paid on right under 10,000 closings, did I close 10,000 closings? No, not at all. I would have never sold my 8-year-old if that was the case, right? And so I'm going to show you the single best way that I've been able to figure out of building a modern team in my empire, and show you how to do the same thing without giving up any splits to me or investing in a franchise today. Like with my other company, I'd be asking for $50,000, or I'm not going to ask you for a coaching contract today or any of that stuff. And also show you how to obtain some leading edge technology and all of that, and show you that it can be achieved without you paying a penny by partnering with top agent experts within our network. And you're probably asking, man, it's like, what's the catch? And it's what are you focusing on right now? It's like, why did you get in real estate? That's what I would ask. Are you achieving why you got in real estate? And I don't know if it was last year, 6 months ago, or like me, 13 years ago. And if you're not hitting on all your goals, and you're not doing what you thought was going to happen, and we're blaming it on the economy or interest rates or whatever, I would challenge you to really stop and look at where you're spending your time. What advice and who are you getting it from? And what do you need to radically stop doing, because less is more, to start focusing on the good stuff, so you can start to design your life, and you can start to build some residual income, or build a traditional team, or sell more houses. Because look, by now, unless you've been living under a rock, or you're new to real estate, when it comes to the opportunity within at least EXP, you've heard about the opportunity in one way, shape, or form. That is, hey, that's out there. EXP is booming right now. It's the fastest growing brokerage in history, if you're tracking from inception date. But also, when you look at all of the companies, and I can send you a report that just came out because all the financials had to be released. We were the only company that showed up, like, we profited, we made money, we grew in a market down by 18%. And everyone else took losses, reported losses, did more they did less transactions than the year before. They lost agents across the board. We grew in those three categories: the net profitability, and the agent count, and more importantly, the production count. And we also moved into being the number one production independently owned company and at least in America. And that was just released, I don't know, 3 weeks ago. And so the fact is, EXP is attracting elite brokers and mega agents. And I was 11th in the nation as an independent before I moved over here. And so there's a million other atoms, or thousands of them, that at least 3,000 that's onboarding even currently this morning when I was checking and working with the concierge team. And why are they coming here? It's, why did I move my business here 5 years ago? It wasn't because of what was being told to me. It wasn't rev share. It wasn't KB Core. It wasn't stock or any of that stuff. I was trying to solve a business or a pain point or a constraint in my business at that time, selling over 1,000 houses a year with a small elite group of people. I was opening expansion offices. I had the call center, but I had real constraints. And then also from the coaching standpoint, we had more people trying to get in business with us than we could execute on. And so nobody brought me EXP. I found EXP by trying to solve a problem. The only thing is I said no to it for a year and a half because I understand, how like you could be looking at it wrong. I had those same feelings and thoughts. And what I found is it was the wrong person explaining it at the wrong time, talking about the wrong thing to me. When you're profiting over $1 million, I'd already worked my way out of the business. I'm trying to scale sales, and we were running other technology like Boomtown and things like that. And so it was like, when I'm comparing it to what they were saying, it just didn't make sense. But what I was able to see that no one explained to me was business solution tools inside of enterprise. And there was one piece of technology inside of there that I needed. Nobody ever talked to me about it. And once I saw that, it was game over. And my partner, Jeff Willems, out of Tucson, paid Remax 75 grand to buy himself out of his franchise agreement. And he had a coaching company, and him and Marcy owned title and mortgage. And I looked up to him, respected him. And I said, what am I missing here, man? I'm flying across the country. I'm in these masterminds. I've been ranked 9th to 12th in the nation. I'm hovering around here, been plateaued for about 3 to 5 years. And it's like, what's next, man? And then I started shadowing him and some other stuff. And then I said, this is it, man. And then I went through a process, and I can get more into that later. But if you do hang around and you do want to learn more about the business opportunity side of this, because I'm not going to get into the details of that. We know that most agents just want to drive sales and focus on that. However, even if you are an agent and you're interested in adding the new residual income stream that I mentioned at the beginning of this call, that can literally set you up with a legit exit strategy. And for me, I can only speak with me and my partners with the systems we're running. It compounds monthly. And I was paid right under, with this one pillar I'll show you, right under $900,000. And that has nothing to do with all the homes I sell in Wichita or Toronto or any other place. And I'll grab you by the hand. I'll spend some time with you and show you that. But let's get back to the model. You're probably asking yourself, what makes this so different in terms of like where you're at within your current structure? And I will tell you, for me, I've never been in a business model where I could provide my partners, my agents, or Gerbik gave me ownership of his business. And, I'll show you him in a minute, how he scaled sales up, because I started making $300 a week on the phone. And then how I scaled it to where I was at. Like, he literally had to turn his company over to me. He had to give me ownership. He had to go figure out how to build onto the expansion piece or start the investment firm. And so there's never been a model where you can get in business with people, but they're not tied to a P&L. You're not tied to working for that partner or under that partner. One partner has more say than the next partner. And so I've never been in a model that I could help you grow your sales and be financially aligned and have an impact on your business. And me not ask for $2,000 a month when we had our coaching company. We're $1,000 a month with ISA stuff, or wasn't asking for 50 grand just to open a Select Homes with us. That wasn't us making money off the partnership agreement, or we didn't have the franchise tag because that costs $500,000, right? And then if we spend the 50, you spend the 50, then we find a broker, brick and mortar. We'll tie you back to the call center. We got to generate leads, all this other stuff that we were doing. We don't have to do any of that stuff. And so you're able to get in business with us and then all these other people and tie back into what I call our mastermind and really learn together, critically think together, and all of that stuff for absolutely nothing. For an example, our Monday Mastermind series is just something we do specifically with our group. And we are highlighting people that, like, for an example, Matt Smith went from 200 closings over to 1,000 because he wanted to follow our system. Last week we had some single ladies on there showing how they're generating thousands of internet leads and close hundreds of homes with us out in the North Carolina area because of their social farming, and they save like $60,000 on internet leads that I pay for and stuff like that because they put in some sweat equity, built community, and all that stuff. And then that's just on a Monday, every like noon central. Or I have another team on there that is showing you their secrets, right, in terms of how they're making this 100% model or creating more leverage in their business. And there's something going on every single day within that model. And so when you ask what makes that different, it's special when you got other people that you're collaborating with and you're really like genuinely interested in their success, because if they grow, you grow. But nobody's working for anyone. Nobody's like, when I say modern team, the network with partners, agents, and everyone alike, no one works for anyone. We're all agents that are building equity in a single agent owned brokerage that I could not offer any of my other agents before, or I got lucky because a guy gave me ownership in his company. But once I hit that glass ceiling, which was 1,300 closings and 5 expansion offices, and I would travel in the world seeking growth models, I thought I was just tapped out. What was next? And when I really look at the history of where Gerbic, that's the guy that got me in real estate, and he sold his equity piece and went and retired in Puerto Rico. He's back active with me now. I pulled him out of retirement. I had to make some big decisions. I had a couple other partners that have been with us or him since the beginning. When there was original 5 of us, they were listing agents working in the field, but they weren't really working with expansion team, call center, or in front of the group. And when I had that aha moment that clicked with me, it was like, we're going to EXP, and they didn't see the vision. And so I had to make some choices for me and my family because I'd already stepped out of the field. I was working on the business instead of working in it, selling like them. But I knew that Netflix was coming. And even though we were right there, top 10 in the nation or outside of it, depending on what year it was, from 2009 to 12, that something had to change. And I felt like if I had this platform or was building my business on top of it and had the machine, I would be able to crush it. What they didn't understand, and what I had to also learn very quickly, was I wasn't building the business at all by myself. You can't, when I'm talking about you can't scale a hero, you can go sell a bunch of houses yourself, right? You can go and do what most top sales agents can do. They force things to happen. At least that's what I've been able to do, and other top producers that I've been around. But I quickly learned that I had to be able to build results through other people to get some duplication to happen. Because if you don't have duplication happening in your business across the board, in any franchise or any model, in any industry, all you have is a high paying job. And so you're going to build and develop the people and the systems for you to get the predictability, and then they're going to build the business. Going through the people, the process, the marketing, and the leadership, and then the collaboration that you're creating, hopefully then you can start to see some predictable results with selling houses or lead generation or whatever is like your KPI that you're focused on. And for me, I was getting outside of my zip code. I was traveling. I was going around seeing what's next. And so I ended up spending about $385,000 buying myself out of my equity piece with that company when we were picking up the other equity piece for $3.5 million with Gerbic, and investor was holding it for us. And then there was some other negotiation around some other value, and it was just a big business we built. And I dissolved all that, and then I left, and everybody called me crazy, and I couldn't work in Kansas or Missouri for 1 year because my contract was 3 years. However, that money that I spent in exchange for $1 was to buy out those other 2 years, and then I ended up launching. But the crazy part is I had 90 agents in 90 days when I relaunched and rebuilt from experience. Yeah, structure was different, and a lot of other things were different. But what took us 8 or 9 years to do, right? And I was at the time overweight, I was unhealthy. Had a 1-year-old at the time, and I'm living out of apartments in Kansas City with our expansion team, going over to Missouri. It was like I had all the awards, I had all the plaques, I had everything. But at the end of the day, what am I turning over to my 8-year-old? Didn't have the stock. I don't have time that I have now. I sell more houses and have a bigger impact in people's lives than I've ever had before. And as even the last couple of years, I'm the most healthiest mentally and physically than I've ever been. And being able to take things that we would charge for before or was running in our business and show other people how to do that for themselves with operating out of the law of like reciprocity and not asking for anything in return. That's what's different right there. And then that has allowed me, this is a screenshot of the 2,400 agents at the time, because these are some of our partners in Canada right here. I would have never thought that I'd be having an opportunity to partner with people up in Toronto or throughout Canada. And it was because one guy on the left right there called me from Remax, wanted some help. I told him I'm not coaching for dollars anymore. And it got into the reason of that. And I ended up saving him 60 grand. And then he moved over and hated every minute of it because it was new company getting set up in Canada, and like it was the United States, and we had to work through a lot of different things from the broker operation side to everything to streamline it to what we have today. And then he started introducing me to other people. I'd fly in, sleep on his floor, the couch, and 3 people would come to a presentation and so on and so forth. But it wasn't about the people showing up. It wasn't about the money. We kept the mission focus and the legacy in front of us, and then more and more people kept showing up, and then that's how I got going there. The guy in the right hand corner here, he went from 30 closings to over 300 and right around 3 years. He's in my own like local market here in Wichita. He had been with EXP before. He left EXP. He was introduced to me to another partner. Obviously had heard about me because of our old brokerage, but I'd already been gone from being able to do anything in Kansas for, I think, almost 2 years at this time. Never seen Adam out in public. I couldn't talk real estate, couldn't talk to any of the people I worked with before, any of that stuff. But when all that was up, I started to get back out, shake hands, and obviously, rebuilt traditionally here. And he was like thinking it was about EXP. And I said, look, man, this isn't about EXP. This is about the people you work with. And it's like the reason I went through what I went through wasn't to work with EXP. It was to build my business on top of the platform and to have it powered up. And it's about the collaboration and the triangulating of those relationships and the network that you're getting involved in. And so why I chose where I'm at, I'm in business with a number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4 person in this company. Jeff, my sponsor, I think is number 19th. And I was hovering around 28 to 30th, and we slipped a few spots here in the wintertime, but that's powerful. That's global team builders in the world. And so I asked him to give me 1% of his trust, and I said, I'll earn the other 99%. And you can see over here on the left-hand side, him and I going out to lunch or whatever. We'd meet once a week, have some beers. I start working on his business. Didn't ask him to join, didn't make it about EXP, because if I'm anywhere, KW, Royal LePage, Remax, I'm gonna have to sell houses, and we're gonna have to still build traditional teams and brokerages and businesses. That doesn't change. And so he started to grow, and he caught the vision, and he up and moved his business over, and he owns a mortgage company now, helped him get set up with, and dude's killing it, man. And I got a lot of respect for him. A lot of these other people that I could speak about as well, that like Tierney went from 9 agents to 500. Blake up in California, 30 sales to over 500. Also has over 500 agents now on the modern team. And then you got Gustavo down in the right-hand corner and up in the middle, single agents that are not building teams. I don't want to build a team, and I want to be able to be more profitable, or how can I make this 100% model for me? And taking these individual agents that do not want to build teams and showing them, like you can see the Icon Awards above Gustavo. He's been with me going on 5 years, and he's just an icon agent. Just, they even say it's like nothing, just, but it's 100% model for him. The reason I say just is because he shows up to all of our masterminds and everything. And I'm like, man, why don't you make it a plus? Not just a just, but a plus. And so I don't know any other company that will pay you to share with other agents that you work with in the brokerage, because I built my business here and I'm selling houses here. And then I'm showing other people how to do more, become more, and or educate on the model, and they end up joining. And then for an example, I got paid right under $900,000 for that. No other company is giving you 100% if you're an Icon agent, and then paying you all this additional money by just helping other people, your peers, right? And it's like, the thing is, it's like, where's the money come from, or how can EXP be profitable? Like I told you, out of all the reports that were just released, how are we the only profitable company and you're giving everything away or paying a plus? And so at our masterminds, we get into all of this stuff. And this is the One Big Fire. This was 2 years ago. I was actually speaking at this one just last year, or last week, I'm sorry. But we have our masterminds every 90 days. And we get into all that stuff, and I'm not going to dig into it today and the numbers or what it's going to take for you. I would just be in this room right here selling 1,000 houses or so with this group of people. And it was amazing what we did right here. Every Wednesday we show up. We're really learning. 100% of people, you can see even behind this, all the chairs and everything are filled up in here. Like, people came to our meetings, and other people like guests that were looking at our business, our title people, mortgage people. Like, we ran a legit funnel. We were, like, you can see at the top, like the funnels that I'm talking about, the lead sources, all of these different things of like how we were providing more value to the agents, how we were leading the nation and closing houses and driving revenue year after year. #1 in Kansas for 10 years running. When the guy got me in real estate that I told you about, Gerbic, he was 43rd in the nation. And then my experience, what I did with the call center in high school with MCI, and then what I was doing with my insurance company before the market turned down, and how we met, it was like a perfect partnership. And I'm be forever indebted to that guy. I changed my life. But it was like the second part to this, where I'm in the prime of my career, and he told me I was crazy and I should have kept doing what we were set out to do, because he retired. And I said, look, I said, it's unfortunate I couldn't bring the machine that we built up, but it's like I had to leave it behind. And then he ended up joining me and partnering with me, just like a lot of other people, because we saw a path where we could partner with you, provide you with all of our experience, systems, tools, training, coaching, leadership that we have to do for our own teams, partners, in that traditional manner, but we could do it in a modern way. And it's not an out of the box franchise model where at least you're not paying me anything, not paying me any royalties over any over and above fees that you would just traditionally pay inside of EXP's single agent system. And since EXP doesn't have recruiters, since there's not franchise owners, there's no regional territory people, I will tell you that all of that goes back into your pocket as the agent. And we got started about 1:15. So we're coming up on an hour. We got about 7 minutes here, and get back with the person that invited you here. And you're probably asking, man, like, what's the cost? What is it? What's my opportunity? And so get with me, and we have a spreadsheet, and I can show you what your net numbers are. I can show you how much money you're saving or how much this would cost you off your exact numbers right now. We built these sheets for top agent experts. And so we can flex your numbers in there, or I can show you, if you're an Icon agent, it's a 100% model for you. I can show you what you need to do to hit Icon exactly, step by step, all of that stuff. And get with us, and we can run your business performant in here. And you'll know exactly, like Jarrett, the guy that was saving $60,000, he had a higher split, and I saved him $60,000 off the same exact stuff he was doing. He's like, I'm on a 95-5 and you're on an 80-20 split, and I don't get it. And I said, because you need to focus on net profitability. And so there are caps inside of this model. Yes, it is an 80-20 split. Okay. And the cool part, I think I already got it figured out. Most people have no clue what it is. And so here, this is me in New York with Glenn. This was in January, a few months ago. Like, I'm there closing, like, the final bell, ringing the final bell of like the stock market closing out. It was a crazy experience. And being able to see like all the equity that these other agents and my partners and me have been able to build into this company by just doing our job when I didn't even come here for it. It was like, it's really sweet. It really is the most agent centric company on the planet. And so I'll show you how you can start to build that for you and yourself and then others, on top of building unique value propositions to make more offers to the consumer. All of these different things that tie back into the training outside of what we do. Like I talked about some of our training, but being able to also show you the training calendar, get into the icon talk with you that I mentioned about, showing you what it's going to take to make this 100% model for you. All of that stuff, because it's being taught by the icons. Most classes are, and they're top producing agents. And even on Monday, this is open to the general public, not even what's behind closed doors. And so go over there and start watching the YouTube channel as well. Mastery Monday, Wealth Wednesday, Fire Friday, all of that stuff. Just get your pass, just get involved to start to understand how to scale your business and how you can become more profitable by creating some leverage and ownership that normally would go to the titled positions that you're seeing here and all of that stuff. And I'm going to leave it right here. We did 3.4 billion, and actually we did a lot more than that, but that's just what I was paid on, because when you cap out, when you icon and other stuff, we're still helping you. We're still involved. We're still doing what we have to do with our business, but that money is 100% going back to you. And it'd be crazy to have a full transparency of what we've been able to do inside of Top Agent Experts. But get back with the person that invited you here, download the ICA agreement, print it out, mark it up with a highlighter, go through it, and then let me know if you guys got any questions. And I'd be willing to jump on a call and show you how all these other traditional agents or single agents, or we'll just say icon agents, are building within this company by just doing what they were doing at a Remax or anywhere else. And I will leave you with this: who you work with matters. And it's like when I talked about Steven being with EXP before and left and came back, he was judging it. He was stuck at about 30 closings. And so this is about EXP. This is about the people that you get to align with. And when money's not involved in P&Ls and all that stuff, we're able to go faster and further by creating more owners without expecting more in return. And for me, I have the most amount of freedom than I've ever had. And I'm thankful to be able to spend time with my son, last year with my dad. And then this summer, or that last summer, my dad came out of that summer and been the most time me and him ever got to spend together. He came from poverty, just hardworking, blue collar type of people. And he ended up catching COVID in January, December, in really good shape, healthy, everything, and passed away within 30 days. And that's my lake house. And he talked me into just taking that time off and doing it. And I actually did it. We had rebuilt a lot of systems and stuff like that. And I felt like I wasn't managing people. The systems were managing the people. The business was growing, and it was just weird to work in an agent-centric value proposition where I was able to do that. And I look at life and I look at business and all that stuff differently because of that experience. And so I'm no longer trading time for money. And I will say, if you have the same business plan that you had even 6 months ago, like, you're left behind. And so we can help you with your business plan. Even if you join us or not, at least you're going to be educated, and you can make an educated decision for you and your business. If why you got in real estate is what you're doing like perfect for you, then I'm happy. That's excellent that the American dream is working for you. And if it's not, and you're not believing in the inner circle that you're in, or there's lack of opportunity or whatever, but there's also lack of education and trust on the other side of the aisle, explore your opportunities. And it's your responsibility to have an open mind. And so I hope that you have a more open mind than me, because I can't believe I said no for a year and a half. And you're probably smarter than me and can figure it out a lot quicker. But anyways, let me know if you guys need anything, and look through the ICA agreement. If you're interested in the business side of things and all that stuff, or the international growth, or even just expansion in general, let me know and I'll set up a private call with you guys. Other than that, you guys have a good afternoon. Just do it.